Welcome to Greenway Audio Magazine. I am Tim, and I am with my best buddy in the world, Brandon. How you doing, dude?
Hey, it's me.
Hey, I love that hat.
Thanks.
You have several versions of it, don't you?
No, I just have
That's
two.
the only one?
I've got
Two?
one that says your local grower and one that says your local dispensary.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Shout
it.
out to Dixon.
Yeah. Hey, Brandon, we have breaking news. Broken trombone.
I love that
Warehouse
breaking news intro.
On Broadway is featuring
on Broadway.
Something really special coming up. Tell us about it.
So Greenway, our best of the industry mixer and celebration. Bodie. We're going to be doing that at the Warehouse on Broadway. First time in Kansas City. Excited to get out there and hopefully take some of the St. Louis people to Kansas City, since so often the Kansas City people come to St. Louis.
Yeah, we got to go. We got to go west every once in a while. And I have the people that I have spoken to in the past 24 hours that are aware of the party are all attending.
It's going to be really exciting.
I know.
So details.
Yeah.
For a few of the folks out there. Number one, Saturday.
Yeah, that's nice, because
I believe that parents should have the ability to have an interaction with their peers and colleagues and stuff that isn't on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So as much as I love MoCan, that's always the hardest part for me, is trying to get to an event on a Tuesday night. So this will be on a Saturday, March 21, the Warehouse on Broadway in Kansas City, presented by Timeless and our friends at the Cannabis Agency. So just really excited. It's gonna be good times.
Yeah.
We're gonna have the vibes, I believe, will be immaculate.
Sure.
Speaking of immaculate, there's been a little talk of immaculate conception lately.
You are a pro, buddy. So yeah, the immaculate conception. You know what it is in Jesus terms, right?
In Jesus terms?
Yeah.
That's how I got here.
Yeah, I read the Bible as a little boy.
That's how I got here, man.
Yeah. Okay, so we have had some immaculate conception issues here in Missouri. Can you speak to it in the cannabis terms as to what it is and what happened?
Essentially, what the immaculate conception period is whenever you start a cannabis industry, technically there's no cannabis available.
Sure.
Because it's been outlawed for X number of years in your particular location. So at the beginning of medical, there was a 1-year immaculate conception period from the time that you were approved to operate, for you to bring in genetics to build your library. They did the same thing again with the adult use period. And each time someone comes online, they have their own individual immaculate conception period.
Oh.
So whenever you get a license, you have an immaculate conception period.
So you're bringing in genetics from where? From here? From other seeds from somewhere else? What?
So
you have a window?
That's the part that makes it immaculate. Is it's
God
don't
comes
ask,
down.
don't tell.
Okay.
They just appear in your licensed state facility. We have no way of knowing where they come from or why they're here. They just woke up one morning and there was weed in the oven.
Yeah.
But yeah, every time somebody has a new license issued, from the time that they have their approval to operate, they have a 1 year
window. Okay, 1 year window. Got it.
And so we've seen they were all lumped together early on, And then whenever there was another award of licenses, I need to backtrack slightly. I said there was another Immaculate Conception period with adult use. There was not.
Okay.
For comprehensive licenses. What I meant by that was that the micro business licenses were all going to have the same Immaculate Conception period as well, because that would be insane to take small businesses and not give them the same opportunities as large businesses. But anyone who has been awarded on a license through appeals or through the AHC commission or through, some kind of barter or trade with DCR in order for dropping some of their other suits, settlements, things like that.
Sure.
Each one of those cultivation licenses gets another Immaculate Conception period whenever it comes online. So we had a lot all at one time, and then we had very few for a while, and then we had several again pop up at one time. Now, why that's important to Missouri is because of the metric tracking and because of the things that we've seen in the past with other companies. The regulators in Missouri have really cracked down at different stages on introducing anything from outside sources.
Sure.
And so essentially what's been happening, what's been reported as happening is that multiple companies have been continuing to bring in genetics outside of their Immaculate Conception period in order to boost their libraries. And what happened was essentially DCR said you can pay a fine.
They get to keep
them. And then that's all that you have to do. They're just pay a fine, and the fine seems to be dependent on the size of your operation and the number of of clones that were brought in. Rebecca Rivas covered it in the Missouri Independent. We've covered it on Greenway, but I think a lot of it starts with the way that they've handled distillate and the way that they've handled other things. Other reports of inversion from other sources. I think you have to, in order to be steadfast and consistent, treat live plants the same way that you're treating distillate or that you're treating, biomass or what have you. So it's not surprising that they're doing it so much as it is the way that they're doing it, because they shut down businesses for distillate, which is a byproduct of
and
a
so
live
now they're
plant.
kind of like
it's an interesting dichotomy.
So can I ask a question? So during the Immaculate Conception period, say a company, they create a strain library during that Immaculate Conception. The window closes. That's their strain library forever? Are they allowed?
Yes, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Got it.
With the exception that obviously, so the way that it was designed, the way that it is supposed to be done in theory, and is not always done in practice, is whenever you start your business, you can bring in as much as you want all at one time. So what you should do is you should secure hundreds, if not thousands, of different seeds and clones and everything else that you can possibly get your grubby little paws on.
I get it now.
And then just stock it in a file cabinet or wherever you have. It's not the most practical thing. Realistically, that's not how that works. there's a reason that people like Brian Fox exist,
right?
In order to help procure things the right way once you're outside of that period. But that's the way it's supposed to be done, is you grab as much as you can, you load everything up, you hold on to that, and then you can cross those and create your own new. And then you can also buy from other licensed cultivators in the state. You can trade, you can swap genetics. You just can't bring anything in that's not in the Missouri metric system. And so once the Immaculate Conception period ends, there's a box around it where you should not be able to. And so I have my big qualm with with DCR is that because of the way some of the licenses are staggered and some of the ways that they've changed hands and things like that, there's not a whole lot of gaps where there's just zero access. So there's kind of always someone bringing in something. And so I don't know. I understand why they're doing it. I get it. But it really just boils down to track and trace and stuff like that a lot of times. So I don't know. I think it's important for people to be able to diversify their genetics, and especially as we learn more about things, be able to guide the practices of what they want to grow. But from a 100% legal and, rule-abiding perspective, if you have a cultivation and you've exhausted everything you have, or you've run a bunch of different things and you're wanting diversity, there's 20, 30 other growers in the state. You should be hitting them up.
Got it.
And getting your stuff that way. Now, there's a whole other layer to it where technically seeds are not, up until recently, because of the rollback of hemp and everything else, seeds have not been considered a product that violates the...
Really?
Yeah, so thank you for cutting me, trying to rein me in there. Essentially, the DEA has said that they would not enforce seeds because they don't violate the 0.3 threshold until after you've popped them and grown them and things like that. Seeds themselves, for 4 years, seeds were not prohibited. And so
just little plants were.
Essentially, yeah. And so there were ways where you could bring in a lot of other materials and stuff.
Interesting.
Anyway.
So I'm guessing once the micro businesses, micro dispensaries started opening, I heard people saying, I wonder what kind of strains they'll have. So this is what they're talking about.
Yeah, because they have the opportunity to bring in anything, essentially.
Got it. Interesting. Wow.
Hey, before we carry on, we've got a guest coming up here in just a couple seconds. We're going to be talking to Eli Korer from Dabstract.
Yeah.
But first, have you been to Kind Goods recently?
Hey guys, do I have news for you? Quick heads up, Kind Goods just opened their 6th location in Maryland Heights, right off 270 on Dorset, and the place is a vibe. They're Missouri's OG deli-style dispensary, so you can actually walk in, see the flower, look at it, maybe get a sniff, talk to the people who really know their stuff, and shop without any pressure. Take your time, figure out what you want. The store's super welcoming, the staff's amazing, the selection is huge, and it just makes the whole experience easy. You know I love it easy. So if you're in the area, you're heading toward a show, swing by the new Kind Goods on Dorset. Let them know that we sent you. Tell them Greenway Audio Magazine. Good vibes, great products. You'll get it as soon as you walk in.
Welcome back to Greenway Audio Magazine. We are here with the CEO of Dabstract, Eli Korer. Eli, thank you for joining us today, buddy.
My pleasure, guys.
Now, Dabstract. People in Missouri probably know from before, but right now you guys are in Illinois, Arizona, Michigan, Washington, and then recently in California.
Yeah.
And then soon to be back in the Mo, baby.
Can't wait. Missouri's it's one of my favorite places. We absolutely love it. We have such a good time there, and it's such a strong cannabis community, like the rest of the country wouldn't believe. Just great quality.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I just say that back in the Mo may be the most uncomfortable way you could have said that, though?
Yeah, it totally was.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't say the loo. I stay away from the loo, because that's even worse.
Mo.
But okay, so who are you going to be working with here in Missouri then?
Standard Wellness. Fantastic group, unbelievable. They're with the Forest stores as well. And if you know Extraction, you know Standard Wellness. Zach over there is just an unbelievable extractor. Yeah. So couldn't have been happier. Great group, and we're excited to really get back in the swing.
Got it. So now go ahead, Brandon.
As Tim has said a couple times, you guys have been in Missouri previously. You were originally partnered with 5150, which was part of Nirvana and Bliss
or Mana Supply. Yeah, we were partnered originally with Mana Supply.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Which was
So you were originally with Mana from the beginning. Okay, I thought you moved from there to Mana, and so you started with Mana in Missouri originally, and you guys had a pretty successful run here for a while. While you're in the process of expanding into other states, what's it like looking for the partnerships to transition from one to the other?
Yeah. It's interesting. What I would say is it was an absolute pleasure working with the entire team at Mana Supply. When you're looking to work with groups in different places, you're looking for an LTR, a long-term relationship. You could not find better people. Everybody there we absolutely adore. But I think in a lot of circumstances, relationships evolve. And I think you need to also really appreciate that markets evolve. Missouri is not the same place that it is today as when we had entered a couple years ago. And so while we were on the shelves and doing well for a solid period of time, you want to make sure that you can react and really have all the supply that you need, have the relationships, the distribution, and the support. I think that's a huge thing. When we had started way back when, I think in a lot of ways it was a much simpler market. I think it's very complicated, and I think there's a lot going on. And all we want to do is just sell great dabs and great vapes. That's our goal. So it's that's really what we're looking to do.
When you have say you're going into a brand new market, or you're going into Missouri for the first time, how do you even get ingrained into the community to find out who the big players are? I mean, there's not a Tinder for, cannabis companies, which would probably a good idea.
Well, actually, I met my wife on Tinder, so I can't knock it. I can't knock it. Yeah.
That's great. I love it. But yeah, I know you've been to MoCan meetings and stuff like that, but really you just got to do the groundwork, right? I mean, it's just research and shaking hands, I would imagine.
It's I'd say absolutely it's that, but I would think it's really going out on a limb. I think cannabis companies that expand to other places, I'm not just talking about my whole team, which I couldn't be prouder of. It takes a tremendous amount of courage. It takes a lot of belief that your product is really the best or really great or can compete or whatever it may be, that you're always going to have consistent product. You always want to give people different flavors, different experiences. You want to make sure that it's the best you can physically do. And I think ultimately, as we look through it and as I look back on, Missouri, it's putting in the time, it's going out on a limb. It's telling people approaching, total strangers and telling them you love their flower. And I think being unabashed about that is really important, because that's what I think involves you in the community is what's good. You have to learn it by trying it and by being around it. But you're right. Putting in the time is essential. I've been to almost every MoCan for 3 or 4 years. And so and it's really important for us. And at the same time, even beyond that, a lot of the times I'll just drive to Missouri because it's a hell of a lot cheaper than Illinois, and buy a bunch of stuff there. And then, it's great. And so, but my point is that ultimately the goal is to really truly embrace the local component. And what I think we didn't do in the right way when we were entering in Missouri the first time is bringing in-house someone who was local, a brand rep, someone in the field, like the guy. It could be a guy, a girl, or anything in between, but it has to be the right person for the time and the place. Someone who has experience, someone that loves your brand, has tried it from a different place in the country and has brought it back, right? We heard, we met with a couple folks, over the years who have been in Washington, and they came down and they absolutely love the product. We have people from Illinois asking about it because there's a lot of retail that are in multiple states. And so for us, that's really important. And I think this time we're finding the right person, right? It's getting back in, around this time, the podcast, we should be back on shelves. So the idea is to find the right people, right? It's like a Cinderella thing. You need to find the right foot for the glass slipper. And every brand is unique. Some reps don't dab. Some reps don't even use cannabis, which shocks me. But, you want someone that can speak to it and really believes in it, because that's what we would do if we were going and selling and working with the buyer, the bud tender, or the consumer at every level. You really have to, my whole team bleeds Dabstract. I firmly believe
that. I'm not a big dabber, but I can swear by your vapes. I'm a big fan.
And as a shameless plug, Brandon, a shameless plug. So we actually never launched this, but this is our top selling product. This is our all-in-one. And this is what we're going to be launching in the market with. And so I think in so many ways, we really understand, what high quality, wonderful hardware means with oil at the right temperature, and how, it needs to last the whole way through. And I think and I appreciate your kind words, and as always.
And those would be live
if it was
resin.
Shit, I'd tell you.
I know. That's true. I know that too.
So are all your all-in-ones, are they live resin then? Or
Yeah. Okay. So what we do is a live resin HTE blend with distillate, and we find that formula really makes it last the whole way through, and it allows you to keep the flavor profile the whole way through.
Interesting.
So our goal always is you can use the whole thing, and it'll taste the same from top to bottom. I think that's the biggest differentiator when you're looking at it. It's something where, I have a bunch of empty hardware, not because it hasn't been filled, but because it's been used, right? I think that's what we're looking to do. And I think Missouri is just a great market for it.
We can help you out with the empty hardware.
We
have a company called Monarch here that started a sustainability initiative last year. They partnered with a company called Curador that does like head change and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've met Peter and Corey by now.
I have. They're tremendous human beings, and like we were talking about earlier about making friends locally. Peter's a true friend. He has always had our back. He's always giving advice. He's someone that's a breath of fresh air when you're at a conference somewhere around the country. If you see him, you're happy to see him. What a great group.
Hard to miss.
True.
He's like definitely the captain's hat is my favorite thing whenever I see it from across the room.
He is the captain now. Like when I think of Missouri, he's the captain of Missouri in that respect.
Yes. That's true.
100% steering the ship. But Monarch introduced a sustainability initiative where they have return containers at dispensaries around the state to be able to reclaim all-in-ones so that the batteries can be separated and it can be done the proper way to recycle and dispose of those.
Sorry, I was taking notes. That's fantastic. I'm going to look into that. I'll touch base with you after maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're amazing. Eli, I work for Curio Wellness. We have 4 dispensaries in Southeast Missouri, and we just had the vape recycle kiosks delivered this week. So I'm like really excited about it.
Oh, that's phenomenal. I'd be interested to see, like, I mean, that's maybe something as the bud tenders are selling it, they remind them of the usage.
Exactly.
Next time you come back. But yeah, no, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, definitely.
I would love to see some of the dispensaries. They used to institute like an incentive for bringing back your jars to recycle jars. I'd love it if we could get even like, you know, if you hit so many vapes returned, then you probably have issues with your doctor, but you also get like some kind of coupon or something just to drive people to stop throwing them in their trash cans like I did for way too long before I got scolded by Zach from Monarch.
Yeah. And dude, Brandon, come on, girl. You know I'm all over that. I already have
I don't want to
ideas.
bring it up because that's always like a thing. Like, hey, the dispensary should give more of a discount. Like, that's also tough too to toss out.
I love it. It's brilliant.
I'll throw every motherfucker under the bus. I do not give a shit this year. 2026 is the year of we are getting shit done, guys.
Right. Yeah, we're back. We're back.
Yeah, that's right. So Eli, okay, so as somebody who I wouldn't even know what to do with dabs, like when I see sugar and cake icing and gems and juice, and I see that stuff, I am like, I shouldn't be here. I'm not sure. If someone was trying some Dabstract concentrates for the first time, like where would you start? Like what's your go-to for introducing somebody to Dabstract?
Yeah, I think, interestingly enough, I think the go-to is always either our all-in-one or vapes, right? It's an accessible product. It's, our all-in-one, you can buy the product and it's on the go. And you start to get used to the oil and the flavor profiles and the experience. I think that's really where it starts. And also, too, in other markets, we have infused pre-rolls, which we'll likely be bringing this summer to Missouri. But the idea is that that's for flower folks that love flower, right? And I think when you start with an infused pre-roll, you start to develop either more of a taste for a higher potency or certain flavor profiles if the infused pre-roll is done correctly. So that's typically where I would think most people would start, is meeting at that level, because I think it's the widest denominator, and also it's the most acceptable, right? A huge dab rig is something that's probably a little bit much for a lot of people as they're looking to get into the space, almost like a very strong or potent liquor is not where most people start. They may start with a beer, right? As they're working their way up. But what I would say is interestingly enough with the dabs, I think in a lot of ways, what makes it now accessible is a lot of the technology that's available, right? Puffco makes fantastic stuff. I've always thought PAX is a phenomenal technology company. There's Dr. Dabber. I mean, there's so many different kinds of things you could use now that I think when you're going to a bud tender, you can ask them, what's the most accessible way I could consume? And I think in a lot of ways, what we have now is that's exactly it, right? There's and then there's also, that's the one I'm thinking of. It's a little bit more discreet. There's the proxy.
You seen this one?
No. Yeah. I think I've seen that one. Can we open that up just so we could take a look?
Yeah. So this is the battery unit, and this is the dab unit. That's the whole thing except for the cord.
Oh,
terrific.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's I think getting easier to actually consume, right? And I think that's going to be the biggest hurdle in that respect. And then there's education, because I think in a lot of ways, what people don't understand is you just may need to consume less of it, and you'll get the same effect. So instead of burning through a joint, even though the effects are slightly different, but let's say burning through a whole joint, taking 1 or 2 dabs is lower impact, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
What do you got in there?
Are we losing Brandon?
This is amazing.
This is gonna be the best podcast.
Orange.
Oh, Amaze Orange. Okay, yeah,
of
course.
Oh,
I forgot that was in there.
And there's some fantastic, concentrates in the market, right? Amaze does great work. Vivid, I think, does good work. Vibe, fantastic. You name it, they're there in Missouri, and and when you're sort of talking and sort of introducing other people, I think the textures are also important as well. Right. I think because in a lot of ways, we actually have an unbelievable, I don't have one on me, I'm totally remiss, but it's a hot knife accessory. And essentially the hot knife, you can heat it up and it's basically a knife that gets warm and you scoop out your concentrates and you can put it in. So you're not dealing with a lot of the stickiness or the difficulty of the product itself.
Got it.
And so then it effortlessly is usable. And so I tend to prefer, batter consistencies. That's what we, call our cake icing, in a lot of respects. Terp sugars are great. Once you start going into like crystalline, it's a little bit more for more of the experienced user. And so I think in a lot of ways, you sort of have a lot of different products that can accommodate people wherever they're at, in how they consume cannabis.
So you can really go, so you're well on your way if you're good with a live resin vape, and then infuse pre-roll, and then the next step would be into the dab world. Yeah. Okay.
Did you guys have a diamonds and sauce vape whenever in Missouri when you were here, or did you have that in Illinois?
No, I don't think we've had that. But we do have like a gems and juice concentrate that's huge in Washington, and we'll be likely bringing that to Illinois and that in Missouri in a second phase. But absolutely love it.
Interesting.
I've had the gems and juice before, and the first vape I had from you guys was whenever we were at Schlafly a couple, like 2 years ago. And it just it blew my mind because it was, I've been a big distillate guy, as far as vapes forever. And it was one of my favorite vapes that I've ever had that wasn't just a distillate. Like it was a live vape. And I was like, oh, this doesn't just taste, people are going to hate me for this. I liked that it didn't just taste like weed. It tasted fresh and kind of effervescent, and it had the pops. I think it was some kind of tropical pineapple Maui profile that you guys had going
for sure. I think we might have gotten nominated for that at Greenway Magazine like a couple years ago for best vape. And look, when we were with Monosupply, it was fantastic. Like I said, there was such a great group to work with. I think, when you're sort of going back to, your question, Tim, and, looking for groups to work with, I think what we've learned is supply is important. Obviously manufacturing is important, distribution is important. And it really, when you're working with a licensing program, that's something you really have to be sensitive to.
Yep. Makes sense.
So we've touched on where you are, but my understanding is you guys, you're not just sitting around, you're not just waiting and saying, hey, good enough. You guys are about to go into a few more markets as well, right?
That's accurate. Yeah. No, we're looking at a number of East Coast states to enter into, and I'm not totally at liberty to talk about a ton of them right now, but we're all super excited. And really what I will say though, Brandon, is like Missouri is our focus. Standard Wellness is such a phenomenal partner. We want to make sure that it's the ultimate home run. And so as we're, working in the state, we want to make sure that we reconnect with old friends, make new friends, and really grow to make sure that we can, partner with folks, make sure that we can be smart and strategic. Because I think a big part about Missouri is making sure that, every consumer gets the best product that they can. There's so many dispensaries, they're everywhere, and it's really important to make sure that they have a choice, to make sure that they can find what they're looking for, and to make sure that they're really happy with what they're consuming and bringing home. And I know there's a number of groups that do that right now. We're just excited to be part of the mix.
Yeah.
You talk and you're like the weed Ben Johnson. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a Bears fan?
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm going to keep my shirt on, though. No one wants to see that. Yeah. Well, it's funny. So I think everybody's a Bears fan, but it's one of those things where it's so reinvigorating.
Yeah.
I think, to have a couple wins and, I think it's something that Chicago's known for, as being a sports city. So
Yeah.
I'm just excited that there's almost like a renaissance going on.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
So, you touched on education earlier, and I that's a big part of what I like doing in my role is bud tender education, consumer education, stuff like that. Education when it comes to concentrates has to be a tad different, right? Or like, what is your approach when you're talking to bud tenders about your products and how to consume them and how to show consumers how to use them?
Yeah, and that's a terrific question. Our goal for all of this is to make sure that everyone understands what Dabstract's all about, right?
Mhm.
Pure, potent, and perfected. And part of our education centers a lot on how we started, 10 years ago. It starts with, Dylan and Derek Thiel as they're building this, operations. I mean, they were some of the first extractors in Washington State. They put
Wow.
together the highest throughput lab up there, have been making products for years. And so the idea with that is, in a lot of ways, is almost teaching the story of how we got to be here and why we're here.
Coming out soon. Blending THC with carotene, limonene, and linalool for that perfect lemon lift. Imagine crisp citrus with a hint of pine. It's all in a portable, rechargeable pen that's ready when you are. So if you're looking for your daily spark, Thrive. It's got you covered. Basically, it's your new favorite sidekick, like Brandon for me. Check it out, everybody. Thrive, all in one vape from Curio Wellness.
And I think in a lot of ways, that's where we start, but where we end is sampling. It's teaching, it's experiencing, it's spending time. Our goal is to train every bud tender in person when we go into a store. So if we were to work with like a green light, right? Like we would come in, we would send our field reps. I would probably go, or our brand manager or our head of sales, nationally, because we really want to put all of it into it. And what we would do is really go through. We use seed talent is a method, digitally learn brands, like sort of on the sort of the periphery training. If they ever want to pick up educations, that's always out there. Curtis Seed Talent's a fantastic human being and, does great work on teaching bud tenders. And I think that's an unbelievable mission. And then we also complement that with our own programming in person. And so when we come to the dispensary, we'll go through it, we'll show you everything, and then we just sample. Sampling's so important because then the bud tender can speak authentically. We actually, just launched with a large retail group in Illinois, and every bud tender has taken the seed talent course, but every bud tender has also had a sample. It's almost like a pairing. You need the education and you need to try it because,
yes.
Brandon's not going to spin bullshit, neither are they. Like the bud tenders are always going to tell you, who they've been sampling, who's good, who's the best, what flavors are new and current. And I think that's really important. And so education comes with that. And I think too, what we've also found some nice success in, and we're looking to do in Missouri, is, community engagement where you can sample the community. So if there are, bud tenders and saying, if you don't pick it up here, you should go to their thing on Thursday night and really just try, a flight of dabs and just sort of experience the flavors. That's really important too, right? I think that's huge. And so education has always been a cornerstone for us, especially because I think it's hard. Look, we're not the cheapest product on the shelf. We're just not. And it's because everything, it's the highest quality inputs, it's the highest quality extraction, it's the highest quality people. Everything about it means something and needs to be there. And I think when you're talking with someone about it, is why are they going to buy a $65, $70 pen when they could grab one for 30 or 35? That's what you have to explain. It's because the lower cost one might start to taste burnt halfway through and you'll throw it away anyways. But ours you can use the whole way through or recharge it. Or our dabs are more flavorful, or you get the experience you want, but you only do that if you've tried it. So I think driving trial is critical. And it's just really important to really stand behind the product and know that they're gonna love it. I mean, you never want to be in a situation where where you hand someone something like a joint and burns raw. I mean, that's literally the worst thing that could happen. And so we want to make sure that everything that goes out the door, we would stand by and we would smoke ourselves. That's the litmus test.
Cannabis is one of the only industries where you see premium products apologize for being premium prices.
Yeah.
You don't, nobody apologizes for a Porsche or a Lexus or even, a high-end Ford being, I looked at an Excursion the other day and it was more than my house. Like, I'm not buying that, but Ford's not out there like, we're so sorry, like it's so expensive, guys. And I'm not belittling what you're saying. I'm just saying I get it. Like
True.
I buy the shoes that I buy. I buy the knives and guns and shit that I buy because they're a premium price. I don't want a gun that's going to explode in my hand. I don't want a knife that's going to fail whenever I'm cutting boxes or something. If I go out to dinner, I'd rather have a Wagyu steak than a hamburger from some chain joint or something like that. But for some reason, every consumer expects every cannabis brand to just keep lowering prices. Like there's no plateau where they say, "Oh, this is right for what I'm getting." And while I'm a consumer and I love discounts and things like that, I don't love the race to the bottom mentality that cannabis has in a lot of places. And we've had a few different guests over the last year that have had really great products, and they've said the same thing you do. Like, we understand we're not the cheapest one. We That's just how it has to be in order for you to get the experience that you're going to have. We talk a lot about the quality of products and the quality of hardware and stuff like that. There's no possible way to produce a $15 vape just with the hardware in an all-in-one, or even a 510 to some degree, that you're going to get with something at a higher price point, if that's part of the focus. Now, you can slap a product in a terrible piece of equipment and still charge $60 for it, but people aren't going to continue buying it. If people are consistently buying something at a premium price, it's because it's not priced as a premium product. It is a premium product.
And and it's interesting because when we looked at pricing, I think you'll see that exact mentality reflected, in Dabstract pricing in Missouri, right? I think it's something that's appropriate. It's like a smell test. Would you walk up to someone and say, like, this is what the cost is of our product? If you can't say that with a straight face, then don't do it. And I think that's really important. I also think too, the comment that you had made on the pricing at retail is really important, because I think it's a responsibility of the cannabis community at large to instill good business practice. And I think a lot of that comes with retail, right? Where we want to make sure that we're doing the things that perhaps maybe traditional retail or traditional pharmacy or traditional other groups have done to maintain pricing where it is and not just compete with the dispensary down the street by doing a 40% discount across the board instead of just 30. That, like, I think that doesn't, but that's what has been conditioned. And there's some markets that have exported that practice to others, right? There's some heavy discount markets in this country. And I think as those as groups from there grow or expand, they bring those business practices, and all of a sudden, everyone is discounting. But that's not really, that shouldn't be the goal. I think the goal should be responsible pricing and responsible management, so that we end up having a lot of higher margins, higher price points. I mean, it would help everybody. So it's something, but who knows if you can unscramble that.
I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to open the TJ Maxx of weed, and I'm just going to buy everybody's shit from last year that they haven't sold, and then put it on a markdown.
We know folks like that. We got that. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. You're not first to that game.
So Eli, one of the questions that I had that I was going to ask, I think we've already kind of answered, but one of the things I was thinking is, like, what do most consumers misunderstand about extracts and concentrates and stuff like that? And I think, I think we talked about it earlier, is, for me at least, I always thought that you needed, the beginning of like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I might be showing my age here, but like, he's making breakfast and there's like a Rube Goldberg
I remember that scene.
Of like,
all this. I love that.
That's what I think in my head when I think of like dabbing and that kind of stuff. Like, I think you need massive hardware. It needs to be an experience. You need time to set up and all this kind of stuff. But that was just debunked with, some of the products that Brandon was just showing. So is that one of do you think that is like the main thing that consumers misunderstand about extracts and how to use them?
I'd say that for dabbing. And I'd say when it comes to extracted or concentrate products, I think there's a misunderstanding of distillate. I think in a lot of ways, a lot of people think that if there is distillate in a product, that it's low quality or it's not good. But when you think of a formula, there's always constituent pieces, right, to any formula. If you're going to order a cocktail, vodka is like the distillate, right? Like, you can get very high quality vodka to put into your drink. Same with distillate, and that's what we do. So I think in a lot of ways, for us, we have a live resin high terpene extract where all the flavor is. And then you want the THC experience, and that's where it's blended in this formula. And I think that's a misconception that permeates the market everywhere. And so what I'll say is I think it's the responsibility to explain and to consumers exactly what's in the product. And we've never shied away from it. I think what it really comes down to is making sure that the correct information is out there.
Makes sense.
Making sure that you're not just trapped in an SEO loop. And I think that's important because there are a lot of great products in cannabis that I think are misunderstood, misused, or not used. Right? I think there's a lot going on. So I think that's probably a big misconception from like the chemical and the the product standpoint. But I think for the use standpoint, it's certainly with dabs, is there's always been an impediment because of the equipment required. And now I know there's groups that have them and that are coming out with handhelds that are just fantastic. And it makes it more accessible for us, because I think concentrates usually sit around maybe 8% of the market, goes up a little bit, sometimes it goes down. But I think if you can provide someone with a convenient use case for it, that really amplifies its reach.
Great answer.
Good answer.
I appreciate that.
We love a Family Feud. Good answer.
Yeah, definitely. It is funny because disty carts do get a lot of shit, and I know Brandon feels very strongly about those too. I'm a big live resin, but at the same time, I get why there are distillate carts, and some people are like, yeah, that's crap. That's crap. No, there's one that I use right now that is phenomenal, and it's distillate. So it just depends, but
Depends.
I am bummed when they get a bad name or an eye roll. I will say
Yeah.
that.
Well, and it's
Hmm.
it's interesting too, right? Because I think in a lot of ways, like it's very hard to make a live resin one
Yeah,
gram card,
right.
live rosin 1 gram card because of the way it burns and everything else, and you have to
Yeah.
have so many narrow parameters. I mean, there's a lot of dimensions to this thing, and
Yeah.
it's also what some people put into the distillate carts, right?
Right.
And so I think in a lot of ways, our team has such an unbelievable confidence in the formula, in the
Hmm.
process behind it. I think that's always what Dabstract has stood for is this is the best card, just bar none. And like that's what they believe. And there's groups out there that make phenomenal products, but this is what we believe in. And I think that's you stand by your man, stand by your card. I
Right.
think that's
Damn right. Love it.
On next week's episode, we will have exclusive video of Eli singing his version of "Stand by Your Cart."
yeah, maybe at the Greenway award
Yeah,
show I'll do
there we
that.
go.
Yeah, we'll do some karaoke.
We'll make it happen.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
How do you think I chipped my tooth? Yeah, I was singing at a wedding once. I'm dead serious. It was, yeah.
No.
Oh yeah, no. So the first dance at my wedding was to I want to dance with somebody, but
Sure.
Whitney Houston.
Sure.
So when it came on at my
Fantastic
buddy's
choice.
wedding, I got on the stage, and the moment I put the mic up, I knew I had made a terrible mistake. My father-in-law's a dentist, so he hates it every time he sees me. So it is what it is. I haven't got it fixed.
He hates it every time he sees me. That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
But one of the things that you said, I appreciate the time that you've given us so far, and as we get closer towards the end of the conversation, I wanted to reiterate something back to you that you've dropped a few different times. I think the difference between some of the premium products that we see and some of the kind of cost efficient products that we see in a lot of places, because it's kind of like beer. Like everybody's got their own taste.
Yeah.
My dad drank Natty Light like it was going out of style for years, but you couldn't convince most people that that's a quality beer. But everybody's got their own personal taste. I think the thing that separates it the most for the premium brands, in my experience, is those people are so dedicated to their consistency, and they're making sure that they're bringing the same thing from state to state, or replicating the same experience time and time and time and time again. And it's just that passion for your own product. You see it a lot in people. We talked about Peter Say earlier. Peter's a great example. That dude's passionate about a lot of people's product, but he's very passionate about his product. And I think that's really where we see the difference in, hey, we're producing this to meet the demand, which is the consumer price efficient model, versus we're producing this because this is what we want and this is what we like. And if you guys like it, then you're gonna love everything we do, because this is made for us, and it just so happens that a lot of other people like it too. It's kind of the vibe that I get from some of my favorite brands, and they happen to be the premium ones.
No, and I totally resonate with that. I think you're spot on. It's like everybody has their brand, right? Everyone has their product, what they like, and that's the goal. I think for us, a big part of it is in every state. We bring all of our patents, our SOPs, our work instructions. Our head of ops, Dylan Thiel, who's also one of the founders, is on site everywhere and working with the teams and integrating as that perfect articulated piece, right? And it's when you see it. And I think when he meets the groups that we work with, he meets the extractor and they're copacetic, right? They're on a different philosophical, spiritual plane than I am when it comes to all of this stuff. But like what I can tell you is it's finding the right group that wants to do that with you and bring your product to market. And I know Standard Wellness has been an unconditional partner to us in Missouri doing that. When you look at someone like Zach who runs their extraction, I mean, he's won multiple Missouri Growers Cup awards in his own right, across a ton of concentrate categories. We couldn't find a better extractor to work with, and really pair with our own experience. And I think that's really what it is just finding that right group to do it with as you're going into a new state.
Yeah, that's vital. I mean, it's almost like sending your kid away to study abroad. Like, you spent so much time getting them ready and formulating them into exactly, who you think they should be, who they think they should be, all this kind of stuff. And then you're like, okay, now go over there and somebody else is gonna watch you take care of you for a while. And you're like, please have this work out. And it takes a lot to find that right person. I'm glad you guys did here in Missouri.
For sure. I appreciate that, Tim. And also too, right, we're involved every week. We meet with our partners, right?
Yeah, you gotta be.
Yeah, you gotta be. You gotta be. You gotta love looking at COAs. I can't tell you. I mean, like, you really look into it, because then, and I say that as a joke, but like, really that's what translates into the product, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the dutiful tending to that garden over and over again, because it's always variable and there's always something going on.
Right.
There's always a production thing. There's always a cultivation thing. There's always a distro thing. So,
right.
I think in a lot of ways, we're always there for our partners and we know they're always there for us.
Well, the other thing is too, is that, consumers are getting smarter and they know what a COA is, and some will look and read it, I mean, the answers are right there on a QR code. So you can't hide from it, so people are going to want, certain people, more of the connoisseur type, or who are, into certain brands, will be looking at that stuff. And, keeping an eye on it internally is so vital. So
it is. Yeah. I mean, look, we put it on our box, right? Like, we list all, I have it here, but we list all the terpenes.
There you go.
We, same thing in Missouri. I mean, you don't just list the top 3, you have to list everything. So it's literally right on the box. And which I think is great. I think it's super transparent. I also think too, people have different flavor preferences, right? And like, people, right? Like, I mean, I like limonene, and like, some people don't. What are you going to do about it? Like, that's why you gotta have so many different strains available, because people resonate with what they want, as they should.
Right.
Dabstract's next marketing campaign. You like lemon flavor? No? Fuck you.
No, it would be like, well, we have 3 other things. You like, you like Myrcene? Yeah, Myrcene. Yeah, it's great.
That's great. Eli, thank you so much for joining us. This has been very enlightening. I learned a ton, so thank you for that. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate you. Make sure Dabstract in select retailers across the state. Write me out and find them anywhere in Missouri. I'm gonna redo that. That's fucking terrible.
No. That's good. That's good. I just got to get you some samples now. Then we're good to go.
Dude, I can't wait to try that. The all-in-one.
Me too.
Oh my God.
I'm so excited. And it's that's gonna be great. We're gonna have a great time, Tim.
Yeah. Don't redo it.
Don't forget,
Randy. That was perfect.
Dabstract in Missouri, available now. If it's not at your favorite dispensary, that's no longer your favorite dispensary. Get the fuck out of there. Go find somewhere else.